What?
गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट. गना शॉट में अब सबका स्वागत है. Today we're going to talk about the Chinese dream, which is in the knockout zone. Who's knocking it out? Good old friend Z. Why? It's been a long time since I spoke about China and what's going on internally, and we need to keep a pulse on that. A lot of things are happening in China which we don't believe, right? And that's what we need to understand. Uh, I'll put a few things across, and I do hope viewers from Bangladesh and Pakistan join in. They should know the reality of their good friends, right? What's the future? Because I'm not going to say what India's future is going to be, because they'll not believe it. But definitely they need to understand what China's future is going to be. And that I'm pretty clear. Right. So let's have a go at it. This is the first thing which I want to put across to all of you. And why you should subscribe to the channel and you should press the like button on this channel. Okay. First, let me talk of that, and then I'll get into the details of all this. Now, the first thing is, I saw this message on YouTube, not YouTube, Twitter to me. They said, look, this is the Times of India thing. Someone said, sir, your conclusions on Chinese aging population coming out true. Congratulations. Well, this is the thing which came out in Times of India, which says the preschools are turning into nursing home. Retirement age has been raised. China's demographic crisis is exploding. Well, I said this year and a half back. At that time, many of you would have thought, look, this old man is dreaming. He's having his China dream, while Xi Jinping is having his China dream. Right? I quite go with it. But now things are happening. Everything which I had forecast 4 years back about China, when I first started coming on the YouTube, is coming true. Not a single thing has gone astray. Right? I predicted two paths for China, one where it is going down, one where it is going up. Okay. And these paths have crossed. Okay. And they've crossed irrevocably. And where China will go, we'll see. But then let's get the pulse of where China is today. Okay. This is very important. This is a very, 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 very important article which came out in South China Morning Post. For those of you who are from Bangladesh, I must tell you this at the outset, that my analysis is not based on Daily Star or Karachi News or Times of India or things like that. My analysis is based on Chinese news and Chinese portals. So have a look at it and understand where you're going. Okay. So this article is very important. The way I looked at it, he says, where now for China after economy lost momentum across the board in August. This people are now saying is a hammer which has fallen on them already. And this article, first let me go through the article and then I'll get into that. This article talks of household spending remains cautious as retail growth dips. Okay. Property investment continues to drag. Fixed asset investment growth fails to lowest level this year. Okay. Industrial output growth has stalled. Okay. Urban unemployment has raised up. That's important. Urban unemployment, credit, bank loan growth, everything is stalled or slows. And most important, the last point, China is set to undershoot the GDP projections. They had said around 5%, and till about 3 months back, they said, oh, we are okay, we're fine, yeah, oh, but it's not so fine because the August data is pretty bad, right? And you look at these graphs, and these graphs are from this article, okay? You see the 6 points in this article, and you'll understand where China's economy is heading. And let me put this in, yeah, closer. Right, this is the monthly retail sales. You just see it's just dipping. It's almost hitting zero. Right? Yeah, during COVID it did go down, but after COVID it recovered and then it yo-yoed. Now it's settling absolutely flat. Okay. And then you look at the investment in property. Investment in property has gone absolutely down. And mind you, we always said that property is 30% of China's economy. It's sick. That I said 2 3 years back. Now it's gone terminal. No one is investing in property there. People can't sell their property. People are not interested in buying. It's a very funny situation. Okay, I'll unfold things as they go along. It's a kaleidoscope, and you take a call after that. What I put across where China is. I'm very clear where China is. Okay, then you look at the urban unemployment rate. This is spiking up. It's gone down. They tried something went down. Then they, jacked up. This new productive forces got into EV business. Some people got jobs. Now again, it's going back. It's just not getting under control. More spikes than dips, and every spike, every has followed by a dip. Okay, and the dip is not so steep as the spike. That means more unemployment. More unemployment, less consumption. GDP is going down. So why is there unemployment? People are closing factories. We'll come to that. Okay, right. Now, what does he say? Xi Jinping, he's washing his hands off the economy today. Xi Jinping tones down focus on China's growth targets as headwinds mount. That means he says, "ये growth target चले या ना चले कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता." Of course, you have to link this up with what I self and Rajiv Narayanan and General Dushyant Singh yesterday also we had talked for. Rajiv Narayanan spoke last week. What we kept saying. What did we keep saying? We don't know whether Xi Jinping is in command or not. He's there. He's making statements. But is he controlling the levers? Doubtful. I did a program called the Lame Duck President. Is he a lame duck? I think so. Because suddenly this anodyne statement that it doesn't matter, it might take a economy, it might not come that much. Look, the Chinese Communist Party always put down a premium on their economy. They had to achieve a GDP. A target set had to be achieved. That's not happening. They seem to be accepting it. And then everyone talks of Chinese exports, X, Y, Z, and all that. I'm okay with it. This article just came out today. What does he say? China tased from all sides, backing Beijing into an economic bind, as per analysts. They're saying that look, export got a spurt, but they're now getting cramped. There's a pushback globally. That's the thing. Now, what is the pushback globally? Everyone is raising tariffs on Chinese goods. Some here, some there. What is it? This is the thing. Countries are raising tariffs, which include USA, EU, Canada, as well as emerging markets like Brazil, Mexico, Turkey, India, Japan. In fact, Japan has launched an anti-dumping investigation into China. Okay. Now, let's look at what has USA done. USA has put 100% duty on EVs, 50% on solar cells, and 25% on steel, aluminum, EV batteries, and key minerals. This is only the sunship. If you go into the article, there's a long list. Okay. EU, it's now on the verge of putting 35% 35.3% tariff on EVs built in China. This is an addition to the 10% car import duty. So it's actually going to be 45%. India, we have not allowed too many EVs to get in any case. So there are no tariffs on EV. But we said tariffs between 12 to 30% on steel products coming from Vietnam and China. Why Vietnam and China? Understand this. Chinese have gone and set up their factories in Vietnam, and from Vietnam they're being exported to India, dumped into India. And India, Vietnam is our friend. Despite that, we've said no. Anything from Vietnam and China, because the origin is Chinese, right? We are now putting tariffs on it. Turkey, good friend Turkey, China's good friend. Now he's put up 40% additional tariff on vehicles. And that has become effective from July. In fact, it's already 2 months down the line. Mexico, it has levied tariffs between 5 to 50% on 544 items, such as steel and aluminum, way back in April. If Mexico doesn't do that, its NAFTA dreams are in, stake. Now, Brazil, one of their big partners in BRICS, they are also looking to raise the tariffs from the current 18 to 35%. When? By July 26. But they'll do it. If they don't, their own, industry is going to go fat. Now, what happens if all these tariffs are raised? So, if these are raised, then the costs naturally will go up for the Chinese, and the import will go down. Then they'll go and pressurize others. Others also will take this cue. So there's a domino effect. That's what worries Chinese with big economies. You're talking of India, US, Brazil. These are all big economies, large economies, Turkey. When these people, block or take measures on Chinese imports into their countries, others will follow suit. In any case, others don't have the heft. So sooner or later, your factories in China will start collapsing. And both these articles which I showed you, just 3 days old. One is today, other is day before yesterday. That's the rate at which things are moving in China. And we need to be on top of this whole game. I mean, that's why this thing. And then this fellow says exporters are now losing, right? And this, of course, a Microsoft report, but I'll go with it. China's exporters are now broke after record losses. Even if it's partially true, because it's coming from Microsoft, they're in deep trouble. Okay. Chinese retailers who were sweet on Mexico. Now, this article, if you see, everyone thought, China had done a smart move. They went to Mexico and set up the factories there, and they also flooded the local markets. Now they are getting a backlash there, right? People say, no, we don't want this China model, and the Chinese are too intrusive, throw them out. And USA has said anything coming from Mexico, which has Chinese ownership, will tax you. So that's why Mexico has also now revisited its tariffs, everything. So that Mexico route is a problem. Now Malaysia is also backtracking. Malaysia thought it will become China plus one. What is the China plus one? Same route. A Chinese factory set up in Malaysia and then exporting to other places. USA said, take care. We will not help you in this. We know what you're up to. So Malaysia is blocked, Vietnam is blocked, Mexico is blocked. Now officially. Then where does China go? Bangladesh. It doesn't go. No one goes to Bangladesh these days. They made it such a nice place that no one is interested in going there. So they'll go to Myanmar. Have a heart, yeah. So where can they go? Understand that. The Chinese are getting contained. This is a new form of economic containment. Why are they being contained? Because otherwise they'll dump and floor the prices here and destroy local industry. Once the local industry is destroyed, then they will start jacking up the prices after 3 months or 3 years, 4 years. And that's happened with us already with API. That's why we're so dependent on API for China. Okay. Now, uh, this everything today, everything is interesting today. Okay, way allocated. Deflation remains a concern. In fact, as per many economies, China is already into deflation. Already. Now, once you get that deflation, it takes a long time to come out. And the Chinese are not changing their playbook. They're same thing. Production, manufacturing, export. Export तो बंद हो रहा है. उसके तहत backstream effect, downstream effect, or reverse effect, their manufacturing is at losses. They're going at great loss. It's one nice to say the government subsidizes. At the end, the government has to pay from somewhere. The subsidy has to be made by somewhere. It's the government's funding. The government will go poor then. Okay. And then China's consumer confidence is at a low. We all know that. It's not coming back at all. Look at this. Look at this graph of consumer confidence in China. Abhi, it's touching new lows. Unless people consume what is in the market, the economy won't grow. And that is absolutely clear. Absolutely clear. There's no way. And if people are losing their jobs, why will they consume? You see, Indian economy, we consume. Our economy is more than 50% is consumption economy, service-driven economy. It's exactly the opposite for China. China's model worked when it worked. That model is over now. Okay. And of course, you will say, look, they're coming to India, they're going to invest in India, yeah, all that. We'll discuss it. Let me see if I can discuss it on P Gurus day after tomorrow, Friday, and every Friday. This thing. Okay. Yeah. You know, internet, which young people see, right, is being banned in China. And even the content is being monitored and regulated. Why? They feel that a color revolution can start through the internet. And why is this happening? I mean, you have to understand. If you see the analysis, color revolutions, when they happen these days, a lot through the net. A lot through information. Right, lot through transmission, WhatsApp University, social media. Social media is a very dangerous tool today, and China is very worried about it. And this has come out incidentally after the Bangladesh monsoon revolution, and now, of course, things are coming out that the monsoon revolution, as much as the Bangladeshis think it was the monsoon revolution, the cloud seeding was done in USA. Monsoon के लिए जब वो बारिश नहीं होता ना, you use silver iodide and do cloud seeding. What you look at cloud seeding, where aircraft go and what do they seed the clouds with? Silver iodide. I think it was that silver iodide, or rather this monsoon seeding by USA, which triggered the monsoon revolution. But then all my Bangladeshi friends will not believe it. They'll say, no, ये तो हमारा है, Jai Bangla type. But that's okay. Have a ball. Okay. Now, the local governments are in a bind. Their local governments are in the worst state. Okay. Their debt are hurting private firms, grassroots distrust, everything. Why? Because they're not able to repay. Simple as that. They've taken debts which they can't repay. And if they can't repay, everyone is in a chain. Everyone owes everything to someone. It's a huge circular debt. That local governments own the steel industry owns the construction industry. Everyone owes everyone there. The banks are in debt with the people, the property people are in debt with the banks. I mean, I don't know who's in debt with whom, how this thing, that there's a problem. Local governments are in a fix. Okay, right. Next, let's see what next. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Now, the Evergrande crisis is 3 years old now. Evergrande is under decimation, it's under liquidation. All that we know, but their banks are struggling. Why banks are struggling? Evergrande collapse ho sakta hai. What do the banks do with all the loans? What do banks do with all the loans? What do banks do with all the unfinished property? If I am an individual, I've taken a loan from a bank and I've got a property. I do not have a job. I'm not going to pay, and that property has not come to me. That flat has not come to me, and that Evergrande is not going to finish off that flat. I can't take that flat. I don't have a job. I can't repay my mortgage. The bank can't, has got us stuck with the loan. Evergrande is not going to finish. It's under liquidation. Where does anyone go? So a lot of people in China are having a haircut. Okay, so and this is only Evergrande. This is symptomatic of their entire property sector. I don't know how many times they're sold, but that's the fact. Okay, of course, this I've explained to you. China's August thing. It's a repetition. Sorry. Okay, property crisis doesn't seem to go anywhere. It's in fact going worse and worse and worse. Right. That's what this headline also says. It says homeowners scramble to pay off mortgages at record pace. Why? They are trying to repay off their mortgages so that कहीं तो छुटकारा मिले. They are not able to pay the mortgages. They know the choice they have is, do they, what they earn, will they have to repay the mortgage or they'll eat? So they're doing whatever they want, selling their jewelry, selling whatever the assets they want to get rid of loans. People, see, at the end of the day, the common man is someone who उसके हिंदी में बोल तो बोझ का है ना वो उधार का बोझ है उसके ऊपर. वो बोझ से ले कहाँ जाएगा? Where does he go? Right? So there is a major problem in China. Okay. Now everyone says UN is going to take over. वो खुद के बंदे बोल रहे हैं UN can't take over. UN can't be the what's that reserve currency of the world. They're saying it's far away. People don't have trust in UN. I don't trust the UN. I don't know if you trust the UN. I mean, all the best to you. So that's where, various things you put together, all those things which make a nation strong are going weaker in China. Okay. Then, of course, Apple has shifted its iPhone 16 production completely to India. So it's only now looking at whatever sales which is happening in China and be happy with it. Slowly they want to shave off. They might not fully shave off China, but no more expansion there. I told you yesterday, Microsoft, they are looking to put up 2 centers here, major in Pune, right? Ford is coming back to India. Recently, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, he went to USA and inked the MOU with Ford there, right? That their dormant factory here is to reopen. Why? For EVs, for export. Tata's, JLR, they're also doing it. So the center of gravity is slowly shifting here. People say, "Nahi, India mein nahi hoga, ye hoga, wo hoga." Just be patient. These things take time. The gestation, semiconductors. 2 years back, not 2 years back, 1 year back, I saw a lot of articles from China and elsewhere saying semiconductors in India, no way. USA, I mean, the government has tried 3 routes, it's all failed, all that. But suddenly you see today, 1 year later, things are happening. People are saying, we are setting up a fab. Even Tata's want to set up a fab here. So there is a change. All this is at China's cost. Where people were running to China are now going to come here. Okay. Now there's this. If you remember, About a month back, I did this video that China's economy is getting Japanified. I spoke of the lost decade, where there's going to be a long lost decade. Decade means 10 saal. So China is entering its lost decade now. That's what I said 1 month back, and I maintain it. And you read this article. Go to this, type out this heading, and read the article. The heading says it isn't becoming Japanified as yet. But when you go into the article and read it, he's just talking what I spoke. कि भैया Japanify होने वाला है. You see, what is Japanification? Japan was having a fantastic manufacturing output. Okay. And that manufacturing output was one day boxed in by USA and said, sorry. What did USA do? They took the dollar off, made it float. Okay, they forced the yen to float. So overnight, the devaluation of the dollar killed everything. Overnight. And from then to now, and then their population also fell. They went into deflation. It's only now, after 20 years, though they say it's lost decade, it's about over 20 years. Now they're coming out of the whole story. And that is their problem. That is their problem. Okay. Okay. Now, all of us would have heard last 2 weeks back, a lot of about 50, 60 African leaders went to China, and they were, feted and meted and whatever they did with Xi Jinping. And Xi Jinping said, we'll help China, Africa out, and we'll give debt and all that. So an African has written, see, what he writes is, as it is, Africa cannot repay debt to China. Now China is imposing more debt on Africa. How can we repay it? Right? And that second debt will only repay the first debt. And that cycle will go on. He says, look, African leaders, some of them are started realizing that this is not feasible. So we have to rethink the whole thing. Okay. So that's a issue. And then universities. Look at what's happening in their universities. China's foreign joint venture universities feel chill as political control tightens. There are about 30, 40 universities which have set up there. From Chicago University, Liverpool University, from USA, UK, yahan wahan se. They set up joint universities out there. One of the underlying things about this setting up the universities was they teach the Western mode of education to Chinese, then democratize Chinese. That was the aim. That was the underlying motive. And it succeeded to a large extent, mind you. Okay. Till Xi Jinping came. Xi Jinping has now tightened controls over them. So now they can only teach his thought. His thought is paramount in all these joint venture universities. Now ये अमेरिका वाले हाथ मल रहे हैं कि भैया क्या हो गया. But what is happening is that there's a fierce psychosis in China. That's one part of the story. The second part of the story is these foreign joint venture universities, they will not go beyond a point if there are political controls over them. So that whole story of, upping their education and increasing their scientific talent and, new productive forces and technology, all that will come under the hammer. People say they have tremendous universities. I agree with it. But all this inflow of knowledge, China was getting two ways. One is they, brought in these foreign universities into China and sent a whole lot of people to China to study. Now, both are getting cut. USA is having a problem, US universities, because all these Chinese students are not paying because they would pay us. The fees and all that. And now if these joint ventures are also there, what happens to USA, UK, forget it. I'm more interested in China. So China, education, technology, all that is now big talk. And these are all long-term gestation periods. And don't think that the Chinese have mastered everything. They have not. Okay. Uh, they're still far away from many things in terms of education and technology. Copycat, yes, not otherwise. Okay. Yeah. If everything was, going as if everything was going fine or not fine, whichever way you look at it, one more PLA general sacked. He was in the Western Theatre Command. He was part of the National People's Congress and not the Central Military Commission, a higher. Now he's also sacked. Slowly, you see that there is a similarity of what's happening. At some point of time, you would say, look, when will all this stop? It's not stopping. That's the point I'm trying to make. Okay. So you look at this fool. He's supposed to be, and this Asian traveler. He says he's a diplomat, yeah, war and all that. And he gets down to this. China is really Bap of India, remember 1962. Arey, mere bhai, Asian traveler, remember 1967, remember Doklam, remember 2020. The Chinese know it. You buffoons will only be where you are because you don't know how to analyze the strength of people. ठीक है? तो आप ऐसे hate filled, this is what I call hate filled talk and thinking. दिमाग बंद करके बात करना एशियन ट्रैवलर से सीखो. Okay. Now again, old people, they're in pain. So the demographics backs is coming back. Now what's China done? China has increased the retirement age. Why? The aging population, they can't help. Now the problem is all, very simple. There, because of the aging population and retirement, the way it was, they couldn't afford their pension. So you raised 5 years retirement age. So that gives you some workforce. But they're all aged workforce. Right? These are desperate measures by China to resolve their demographic thing. Right. Now here I go. This Asian traveler fellow is talking too much, so I am banning him. Whether he comes back or not. Thank you. Okay. Now there's one economist. He's gone viral in China by speaking the truth. What's happening in China? He's a young chap, probably intelligent guy. Yeah, he would be an intelligent guy. He spoke, and he was supposed to be an upcoming economist. Now his whole story has gone viral. I don't know whether he will survive or not. That's a different story. We'll see. Okay. And then people who are educated are not getting jobs. I told you unemployment earlier. This is it. Unless they have experience, they are not getting jobs. Unless they have a job, they won't get experience. It's a catch-22 situation and happiness. And to their misery now, COD has come into the story. Right? They've had a huge problem with Philippines. Right? Quad now wants to do patrolling in South China Sea. But this is a story which I'll take it forward later on. I've just tried to put across what all is happening in China today. Now, once Quad enters and does joint patrolling and all that, you will see militarization of the South China Sea. And South China Sea is the third, hotspot. I've always been maintaining Ukraine, Gaza, and West Asia, and South China Sea. Now, no one talks of Taiwan these days. Everyone talks of South China Sea. In fact, today also there's an article in Foreign Affairs which says South China Sea could get into a major problem, a war. If war between USA and China is likely to happen, it will be in South China Sea. And everyone says Quad has become an economic thing. It's about social issues and all that. No. The basic of Quad is military to military exercises, where it started, disaster management, everything. So you see, court is now said we'll do, patrolling of South China Sea. Then what happens? We'll see how the story unfolds. Like I know today, everyone is looking at the pagers and all that. Pagers will come out. Don't worry. But this is the next developing story, and this is the flashpoint. Okay, and then okay, yeah, this is the same thing again. I don't know why this has got repeated. This is an interesting thing I must put across to you. Swedish pension funds have quietly sold a vast majority of its stocks in Chinese company over the last 12 months. This is by a Swedish guy. See, let me explain. Uh, all the pension funds were investing in Chinese stocks in a big way. Sweden has quietly sold it off over a 1 year period. They don't want risk. That's what he says. The risk has simply become too great, says the head of Swedish Premium Pension State Investment Fund. Period. This is an article. Unfortunately, it is in Swedish. Otherwise, I would have explained to you what the whole story is. Right? So, this is the knockout punch. And this is not only one. A lot of people are now exiting China and being happy about it elsewhere. And they're seeking greener pastures. So what do you see overall? The debt problem has not gone. Manufacturing is not going anywhere. Right? China is being contained in that. Consumption is not going anywhere. Unemployment has gone up. Right? And consumption, of course, is not there at all, because when there are no jobs, how will there be consumption? Right? Demographics are worsening, and there's no doubt. And China doesn't have an answer for this. Their GDP is not going to come through the way they thought. And Mr. Xi Jinping is already pointing fingers elsewhere, and he might not be in control. So where does that leave us? It leaves us the alternate magnet, which I've explained to you. People will start coming to us over the next 5-10 year period. And this is my thinking is, look, all these points are for the past 1 week, the news coming from China. But if you analyze it over the longer horizon, there are issues coming up. There are issues in Tibet which are coming up, which I'll have a separate session. Because for the first time, I saw someone saying separatism in Tibet should be squashed by a senior CCP functionary, which I have not seen for the past 3 years. The first time it has come now. Why? So there's a problem there. There's an issue of climate change in Tibet. So there are 3-4 issues in Tibet, right? And then in Xinjiang also there are issues. So all this, I'll have a separate episode, because Tibet means I have to cover India, Tibet, and China separate episode. But you look at the other things. A lot of people are now gravitating to India, and it will happen over the next 5-10 years. Okay, I did mention at the beginning that on one dimension China is going down, and the other dimension China is going up. Where is it going down? It's going down internally, it's going down economically. There's no doubt about it. It might not recover. If it recovers, we don't know when. Right? Domestic politics are not anymore clean. Their PLA is almost leaders, and all that are a problem. On the other hand, its ambitions are not toned down. They still want a Sinocentric world order. Xi Jinping still wants something great to happen. They still want to knock off America from its perch. Now, they are at odds. How will that meet? It can meet only through war. Period. Mercantilism. What is the mercantile attitude? What did England do when they came to India? or the East India Company. They came and they forced the gun on us and said, trade with us. They went to China, did the same thing virtually. I mean, the whole history is different. China is trying to will do the same thing. It has to go. It has built an army. It's a huge army, whether we like it or not. It might be a useless army against India, but it's damn good against smaller countries around or in Africa and all that. Oh, there are issues in that, but I'll discuss that also separately. But this could lead to a war. If everything which is happening in India is at the cost of China, then there is China will have to do something. So, what will China do? That's the issue. Is this newfound love which is coming out, India, China, bye bye, Dubara, is it right or wrong? What do we do about it? And hopefully, if let me see if I can cover the India-China affair or the issue day after tomorrow when I speak with Mr. Shriya. But tomorrow, all those people who are, Bangladeshis, I'll give you another thing where when I talk to, the India Foundation director, we'll talk about recent developments in Bangladesh and the rise of Jamaat-e-Islami. Okay, so with this, I mean today's thing I'm finished. I request all of you to subscribe to the Gunner Shot channel. Right, if you like it, please press the like button, and I would request you also to be members of this channel. Right, I find that members are they're not renewing their membership. Please join me as a member, because joining me as a member doesn't give me money. Let me be upfront about it. It helps girls get their education. All the money from membership and supers and all that goes to them for their school fees, right? And I'll be very honest with you. This channel doesn't give me that much money, always. So whatever money I have, I give it to them. That's about all. That's how it is, right? So I'll take some questions, and then we'll see where we go from here, right? Yeah, Asrar Chaudhry, salam and namaskar. I saw your email. I'll keep responding to you till such time you can have a difference of opinion. I have no problem with any Bangladeshi saying no, I don't agree with it. And that's okay. That's your point. But you don't have to be abusive. That's the point. Yeah. So you have discussed the population problems of China, but many countries like Japan as well as West face this issue. What is the long-term solution, as migration is not working for Western countries? No, I disagree with you. Migration has worked very well for USA. USA's population is entirely based on migration, right? And China is not interested in migration. And China has very clear policies, but it's not going to work, right? So China is in a decline. I mean, as per anyone's forecast, everyone's forecast, China's population is going to decline very fast. And let me tell you this. This is my own thing. I did a program on demography in detail. Next 5 years, you'll see the problem of demography of China blossoming. As it is, they are in panic. And their demography is not so bad at this point of time. At this point of time, the demography is quite okay. But the indications have pushed them into panic mode. And they can't recover. The point is they can't recover. They know it. And you have to understand that people make the nation. If the people are not there, the nation doesn't grow. And for a nation like China, unless you have people, you don't grow. And this is where, Bangladesh is misusing its population. Bangladesh has the population, it has the people to make it. If you use your demography well, everything will go well. But Well, but I'll not talk of Bangladesh today. We'll talk of Bangladesh some other day. Right. So I'll leave it at that. Okay. Yeah. There's a member, a new member. Let me say. Okay. Let me get to the member. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Prasad. So kind of you for having joined me as a member. I hope you enjoy it. Also, no questions, just giving this. So thanks a lot, Jack. So kind of you, right? So it'll help them. I mean, in fact, at times I give them a tablet or something like that. It helps. Yeah. So the population will not go away. Yeah. You have given the best knowledge on present China. Thanks a lot. Uh, yeah. So, what are the cardinal mistakes in the great China story, which has now turned into a damn squib? Since we have a huge population that will age out in 3 to 4 decades, what to take, what steps to take? Look, you have to educate your population, and you have to do homegrown education, and just not educate them. You have to give them skills. Vocational education is the way forward. Because let's face facts, not everyone will get educated in a college and get a degree and get a Nobel Prize. So vocational skilling is important. And unfortunately, let me be very honest about it. Our present government, it's been there for now over 10 years, have not done a good job about it. I wouldn't say they failed, but they've not done a good job. And this is despite the fact this was our prime minister's priority. And somehow the ministers who were put in charge of skilling have failed. Their failure. Overall, something is happening, but I would prefer more. So that's the main thing. And the second thing is we shouldn't be in a hurry. I keep telling everyone, uh, we shouldn't become the next China. We should be the better India, right? China went up too fast and it's going down too fast. As simple as that. What goes up comes down. Newton's third law. Every motion has an equal and opposite reaction, right? That's how it is. Uh, Thanks a lot. I would request all of you to, like Sparkly says, like the video. Uh, it was the Americans and Europeans who aided the Chinese economic growth since the 1980s. Present economic condition of both USA and Europe is quite unhealthy. Way forward, China has declined. Period. I go with you completely. The tailwinds. You see, who I did this show, if you remember, Akash, where I explained to everyone how Japan, Germany, and China came up. They came up because of the investment which US did in it. And then they had this, peace dividend for over 30 to 50 years or more. And, and this links up with what Shritik also asked, what is the way forward? Don't worry, because we've gone through rough times. We even now going through rough times. Even now, though America is a strategic partner, they seem to be pulling the plug at every point of time, right? So we will survive. We've survived all this and still become the fourth largest economy, and will now go into the third largest. I have no doubts about it, right? What is the way forward for China? They're going to go down, and as they go down, there'll be a problem for us. That I've said, that in fact, I have, written an article for the Economic Times. Let it come out, then I will talk about it. So this point, I'll get back way forward. Okay. Uh, I would like to discuss with you where can I connect here, because otherwise I really don't get involved with one-to-one with anyone. I have no problem. Put your points out during an open session, and then I'll speak. Uh, Look, just to put things in perspective, you must understand. I also teach in IIT Madras. I have work. I'm also in think tank, and I keep going addressing people in the National Defense College, War College, and all that. So I'm not here on a peace mission with anyone. I'm putting this. My channel is a geostrategic channel. It's not a India versus Bangladesh channel. Please, it's not. I analyze Bangladesh from an Indian perspective. I'm not doing it from for any charity or anything. So that Indians get democratized. I'm democratizing strategy. That's how it is. Yeah, this we have said. Beparwa. Is it possible that CCP is preparing its citizens for a war economy because it is difficult to understand why CCP is not using their 3.3 trillion? They don't have. Please understand. They don't have that money. That's all paper money. I mean, we think it has. They've got a war chest, all right, but they can't go into war. If they go into war, they're stuck. The only condition of going into war is to become a mercantile force. That is feasible, right? I'll go with that. Uh, it's not a war economy. They want to revive the economy through war. There's a difference. War economy is what Putin did. Putin and Russia are in a war economy. These chaps are trying to prepare for a war to revive their economy. That's the difference. I'll talk of it later. What is the plan about API? I see we have put some action. There's some revival of these industries happening. How much I really won't know because I've lost track of it. I kept track of it till about 6 months back. Now that you asked, I'll get back into it and get back. Okay. Uh, yeah, I'm not going to take subject questions other than what is our topic on China. So let's be clear. Okay, population. Oh no, we'll not get into this right away. Yeah, what is the next question? What will be the best for India, staying in West Circle or Rushi China Circle in the long run? No circle. We are not going to be in any circle because we are the third pole, which we have emerged as the third pole, and we will be our own pole in the long run. Okay. Now I've done 3 4 videos. You're new, you go search, right? I've done 3 4 videos about this and how our power structure is. I believe in a power quadrilateral, which is there with us. Uh, and this emanates from an idea which I got from China. And maybe someday I'll have to talk about it. Maybe on Sunday I'll talk about it because I have to explain it in detail. One problem that Chinese say India has its inefficiency and corruption. Why do you feel we are inefficient, sir? Is it our national attitude or democracy also corrupt? Isn't it corruption endemic in China? Look, forget about China. Corruption in China is endemic. They operate through corruption. Uh, in India, the culture is poor. Our inefficiency comes from our legacy systems which we follow, our politicians, everything, and corruption. Our corruption in India is negative. Whereas in China, a lot of corruption in China is positive. You pay a chap, it gets done. In this case, it might not happen. That's the problem. Amongst all this, IMF still predicts the Chinese uh, GDP per capita will be around $18,000 in nominal terms. Will it be called a developed economy? No. Look, IMF talks of all this and gives a rosy picture of China because IMF has and the West has its beams stuck in China. उनका पैसा है भाई उधर. They have to talk well of China to some extent. If they don't talk well of China, they lose their money. That is why they are not. They have a bottom line. And today it is 18,000 in nominal terms. Tomorrow, as it goes down, their economy starts going down. What happens? That rotten part of the property is not going to go anywhere. And look, the property problem they knew for the past 4 years. So far, they have not found an alternate to it in scale. And there is no alternative to it. That's the problem. Because the alternative to is consumption. The consumption is not happening. China is recently making good progress in EUV technology. If EUV mature, China can make 4 chip. That is living in some kind of a dream where EVs are failing. Look, I went and stayed in US for about a month, right? And I spoke to a lot of people in US. They're not interested in Chinese EVs for many reasons, and Chinese don't have answers for those reasons. Ultimately, someone has to buy the car because China has got a car there, no one will buy it. Will you buy a car if it doesn't suit your purpose? The Chinese EVs don't suit American purpose. As simple as that. And when they can make 4 chips, yes, what do you do with the chips? What will the people do with the chips? Right? You have to make it work for the people. That's not happening. I listened to one Chinese minister regarding Galwan. The impression I got is that the Chinese are very afraid of dying and losing war. They're putting a show for their own people. Yeah, I agree with you. They're very worried. And they're not prepared to die. Let me be very clear. I've dealt with the Chinese soldiers, right? I've seen them. I've seen them now. The earlier lot were very tough. When I first saw the Chinese soldiers, I thought they were very tough and industrious. Not today. They're soft. And many people join the PLA for post PLA benefits because they get college admission without going through their exams. They get jobs, all that. That's why. Okay. Yeah, like the sharp tongue of the lieutenant, it may be a big army, but yeah, I agree. I mean, this is the fact. I've seen them. Look, I've served uh, in Demchok, in Leh, Ladakh, Chushul, Demchok, that belt. I've served in the central belt. I've served in Sikkim. I've served in Bhutan, and I've served right up to Kibitu and Tawang. And I've done patrolling. I've walked in this area, and I've met with people. I have seen the Chinese across. In one thing, I went across into Tibet also. Uh, when I talk, I'm talking out of experience. Okay, incidentally, I must tell all of you, we don't become generals by we're not parachuted into becoming generals. We have to prove our worth at the ground level. Only then are we promoted as generals. So we know what we are talking generally. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are talking of Bangladesh. I'm not going to even answer them. Yeah, mercantilism will just exacerbate their demographic decline. The economy is there to serve the people, not the other way around. Oh, here I have a slightly different view. You see, how did England prosper? How did the colonial powers prosper? The colonial powers prospered out of mercantilism. They came, they divided the place where they went up, they took the resources away from there, and they subjugated the people. Okay, in those days. China is trying something almost the same in a different manner through debt trapping, through their politics, undercutting politics, controlling the government, information warfare. We've spoken of this. Okay. Uh, so, in which case, if they can loot others, or debt trap others and suck money and resources from them, then it doesn't matter what happens to the population. In fact, the lesser the population, the better off they will be if they can succeed in that larger aim. The question is, will they succeed in that larger aim? And these are things which I'm going to discuss, right? Because the issue has come up. I mean, let me, now that you said, ask this question partly, let me put it. Recently I read an article where someone has said, look, our global interests have to be looked after. They are under threat. And today their global interests are under threat legally, politically, and physically. For which means they have to deploy their army. If they deploy their army, they could get involved into mercantilism completely. They have to. They have to. Otherwise, they're stuck. Now, to get into this mercantile way of doing things, they will have to come across big powers and strong powers and overcome them. We are in for a very interesting time, let me tell you. And China will fight tooth and nail for this. The CCP will be aggressive about it. Make no mistake. So we'll talk about it. Yeah, Srinivasan, China will not pull back from all fronts. It will pull back from no front. China's will not pull back from any front till there is an internal collapse. Politics become, and there's an internal weakness develops to an extent where the it their holding of their extended frontages is not tenable. If you say, will that happen? There are chances of it happening in some manner. And I'm going to discuss that. When I discuss Tibet, I'll discuss Tibet and I'll put China in context. Yeah, I agree with you. We can make better electronic vehicles than US and China, both, I have no doubt. We must tie our people to people born stronger in Nepal and kick China out of Nepal, Tibet. Your views, Sat Sri Akal. Yeah, Hiranmay, I told you, I'll do a thing about Tibet separately. It's coming. I'm very clear about it. In fact, I want to first write an article, clarify my head about the various issues, and then I'll talk about it. Yeah. Bangladesh wants to trade and do business with India easily, just like Bangladesh is doing with China. भैया जो भी है आप करना चाहते हो तो कर लो, ना चाहते हो तो आपकी मर्जी, आप you will not survive. As simple as that. You have to trade with India, you have no choice. China, you can keep doing any trade with China at a loss. There's a limit, period. Yeah, Chinese companies are reluctant in investing in Pakistan because of Indian intervention in Pakistan. I agree with you completely. We will not allow, let me put it this way, we will not let Chinese companies have a free run anywhere in the subcontinent. Will Bangladesh become a conduit for drugs? Of course. Let's not have any doubts. That's the next step which I'm expecting. Let's not have doubts about it at all. Comments on Lebanon situation. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. What's happened, right? Pagers. Is it explosives? Is it software? Everything. And, I'll talk about it on Sunday. Sunday, maybe during this, we'll discuss this. By then, certain reactions will come in. Let me apply my mind. And, it's a deep operation. A very interesting situation. I feel this is the best time to sensitize our people. Should we buy Chinese handsets? What if China does something like this tomorrow to us? These are the okay. Uh, सर अगर चाइना सुधर गया तो is RIC possible? No, RIC is dead. Let me tell you. The people of India will not want RIC. China will sudhar gaya is a dream. It will not happen. And we are not interested in China anymore. Whatever we want to do with China is tactical. And let me tell you, if any government of ours takes the wrong step against the people of India, that government will be voted out of power. We don't need a monsoon revolution. Okay. Would India setting its economic foot in ASEAN be matched the starts the Chinese military fire? I don't think so. That's far fetched, right? Uh, will China support India this time for UN membership, sir? Will China this you no? It will not. China will do its best not to ensure that India doesn't have a say in UN, right? Though the tack these days is China. I mean, the reform of the UN system is Germany, Brazil, and India. Let's see how it goes. But I don't think China will agree. How to create an increased internal disturbance in China on the certain level that makes it forced to go back to its homeland, unpopulated. Yeah, we'll talk of it when we talk of Tibet. This is part of the story. It is part of the story. I have to explain Tibet to you and then explain. I'll do it separately. Just wait. India will be a part of ASEAN? No, it cannot be because ASEAN follows certain. We are already observer status there. In some form, we are already part of ASEAN. But what ASEAN stands for, let it be ASEAN, right? We would like to be out of it. India will only lose by not joining CPEC. Pakistan has lost. तुम लोगों ने तो छोड़ दिया अपना सब कुछ चाइना को तो हमें भी लुटाना चाहते हो जस्ट फॉरगेट इट. Okay. The rest of the thing, thanks a lot for coming and viewing. Yeah, let me take the last question. Does China with 90% Han population make it that much stable and less prone to internal disturbance? I don't think so. Look, there's a issue with China because China runs on ideology, and China has a history of change. So that is a larger question which I have to spend a whole hour at least to explain why it is. If you see the history of China, whether it's the King, Ming, and whichever dynasties, or whether the Khan dynasties, the Mongol dynasties which ruled China, they all survived for 200 to 300 years. In a way, the CCP is also a dynasty. It's finished 100 years. Will it survive more? I mean, some of the dynasties lasted only 30, 40 years. Okay. So, uh, then the issue of the spread of China. No, as China keeps spreading, it's becoming thinner. So somewhere, if something happens, there'll be no backstop to it. And of course, the main thing is their population. Population will never allow it to go anywhere. Okay, so I'll talk of this some other day, JBJP. Right. Okay. Uh, Sir, please give comments on India destabilized by destabilizing our neighbor. No, no. You please understand all this nonsense which we are hearing. All of you are hearing. We have gone through. We've gone through this when we didn't have the capability which we have today. Go back to the 80s. 80s, we had Operation Checkerboard, where we, and Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim also, where we confronted the Chinese, Sundrangchu incident. That was also the time when we were committed in Sri Lanka. That was also the time the Bangladesh government was absolutely anti-Indian, Ziaur Rahman's time. That was also the time when Pakistan was at its worst behavior, and Punjab was burning those days. I mean, you people probably don't understand. We've come through it well. We've handled a completely unstable neighborhood, and Maldives also we had to intervene that decade. And we didn't have the GDPs which we had today. I remember that. Uh, I was a young major those days, and in Punjab, we used to do counterinsurgency against Khalistanis. We had a tough time, and Northeast was also problematic. We come out of all that. Right? Today, no power on earth can shake us. That you can. Okay. Right. With this, I'll close today's program. See you. Thank you. Tomorrow is going to be a very interesting program. Captain Alok Bansal will come. He will talk. No, yeah, no. Tomorrow is not Alok Bansal. Day after, we'll talk with Captain Alok Bansal. Tomorrow, let me see what to talk. I wanted to discuss China's view of the border problem. Uh, Let me see if I can put that together and talk, because I already have that ready. For some reason, tomorrow I have some other commitments. Let me see what to do. So far, I've not programmed anything for tomorrow. But if I get the time, I'll talk about China's view of the border problem, and we'll talk of the LAC, because unless you understand the LAC, you will not understand the next thing which I'm getting at. So I'll talk of that maybe. Okay, see you there. See you till tomorrow. If I'm able to put the thing in by afternoon, I'll put the link out. Right? Okay. See you, and Jai Hind.